Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Nick almost punches Billy after Victoria and Victor had a heartbreaking confrontation. Adam tells Nick that Kane has been hanging out with Phyllis and has visited with Billy at the ranch. Nick is hoping that Phyllis won't abandon everyone she has known for a long time. Victor shows in and claims that she would sell her firstborn to obtain what she desires. Ashby finds this kind of ruthlessness appealing. Nick asserts that Phyllis would endure the crucible of hell for her kids and notes that Kane is pursuing Jabot, which includes Mochetti. Victor is wrong when he says that Kyle had Summer sell Mochetti to his family business. In keeping with the current recurring topic in Genoa City, Adam and Nick decide they must find a solution for Ashby. Adam claims that Kane's falsehoods will be trending before the day is over and that he is going to be exposed on all of their platforms. Nick enjoys the thought. When Victoria shows there, she wants to talk to her father alone. Despite Nick's resistance, they go with Adam. When Victoria is by herself, she confronts Victor about his attempt to separate Kyle and Claire by using Audra Charles. She is enraged. Given how frequently he meddled in her relationships, she is unsure of why she is startled. Victor did not wish for them to suffer harm. Victoria contends that he is harming them, which is precisely what he is doing. Will Kane and Jack reach an agreement? When Kane and Jack meet at society, Jack is furious because Ashby has already ordered him dinner since he views it as a control mechanism. Jack asks him why he brought them to Nice and inquires about his goals, getting right to the point. Kane veers to Abbott Communications since he thinks Jack isn't very interested in striking a deal. Has he decided against selling his share? Jack questions Kane's motivation for wanting Abbott Communications. Kane hedges that they are essentially family and believes it's a smart investment. Jack objects to the notion and doubts Ashby's sincerity and ambition for dominance. Jack is clearly upset at Kane, and the only thing preventing him from stifling him is good manners. Jack tells him to get out of town and declares that he will not sell Kane Abbott Communications. Nobody trusts him enough to do business with him, nor does anyone want him there. Jack. It's impossible to leave Genoa City, Kane smirks. This is not a popularity contest. This is business. They argue about Billy verbally. Jack inquires as to Ashby's motivation. What do you truly want? He believes he is attempting to regain Lily's affection. Kane is furious because he knows exactly what he wants and how to get it. He isn't going anywhere, and he doesn't owe anyone an explanation. He stalks out when Jack cautions him to keep in mind the strength and determination of the individuals he is competing against. Will Billy transfer authority? Before Billy shows up, Sally is hanging in the park in a full-length dress, conducting business over the phone. He told Jack that Kane intends to use him against his family. Sally finds out. He doubts that the warning will have any effect. Kane feels he may be correct in believing that nothing can stop him from assuming control of Jabot. Sally hopes Billy isn't still thinking of assisting Kane. Billy adds, predictably, that he must weigh all of his options. When Sally finds out that Jack wants him to cooperate and spy on Kane, she becomes upset. She cautions that this is not a good idea. Just now, 3 folks passed away. Why would he approach the man at all? Billy. Sally confirms that Billy is still pursuing Chancellor and his mother following some discussion regarding Kane. Should she wait to find out if she will be managing Abbott Communications? She is now prepared to deploy it. Billy must resign if he is not going to be the company's leader. Sally is eager to share the truth about who Aristotle Dumas is. Billy concludes that she is correct. She should apply to Abcom as he is naively certain that he will be running for Chancellor. Will Nick strike Billy with a punch? Adam informs Nick at Crimson Lights that Victoria is most likely angry with Victor over Kyle and Claire. They talk about this till Billy arrives. They discuss Sally saving Nick's life, and Adam reveals that he knows Billy has been meeting with Kane and asks why Billy still wants anything to do with him. Before Nick questions Kane's motives and demands that Billy tell him whether or not he is working with Ashby, they exchange insults. Billy questions why they believe he would inform them. Nick threatens to turn against the Chancellor if he takes any action. Smiling, Billy goes on a tirade about Victor's lack of concern about Chancellor and his desire to provide Nikki with a plaything so she could pretend to be CEO. Nick yells, "That's enough," as he lunges for the Abbott. You don't say such things about my mum. Billy Nick Adam. Billy, who is quite cocky, asks Nick to try his hardest. Adam calms Nick down and tells Billy that he will lose if he faces the Newmans. The Abbott is advised by Nick to abandon his plans with Kane. Billy leaves. Nick is grateful to Adam for reining him in. They are now aware that Billy is in Kane's back pocket. Will Victor give up? Victoria informs her father at the ranch that she finds the things involving Claire and Kyle upsetting. He almost destroyed their relationship by interfering and never showed her enough respect to allow her make her own judgments. Victor's eyes fill with tears. Victoria. Victor declares his love for Victoria and Claire and his desire to keep them safe. According to Victoria, he has no influence in who they may and cannot love. She fears that their relationship won't last because Claire is a Newman and just as obstinate as he is. As Victoria notes, Kyle is the one shattering Claire's heart, not the other way around. Victor complains that Kyle has tricked them all. Victoria tells her father to let this go or he will lose her forever, clucking that they must let Claire go on her own path. Victor gives his daughter a tearful embrace. Is Billy reliable? Jack bursts into the Abbott estate and tells Diane that they must prepare for combat because Kane is coming after them all. She finds out that Jack declined Ashby's offer to work for Abbott Communications. Jack struggles with the thought of entrusting Billy with the company's and his family's future. They discuss his brother's unreliability. Jack wants to think that he wouldn't assist him in obtaining Jabot. By purchasing these businesses, he believes Ashby hopes to regain Lily's affection. Diane reflects that he will make everyone despise him if he is unable to win Lily's love once more. Diane Jack. Kane contacts Lily when she's in the park and apologizes for missing her visit. He's hoping she's still interested in meeting. They have a few things to discuss with one another. Nick Newman's temper was already on edge when Adam cornered him at Crimson Lights, the dimly lit cafe buzzing with the low hum of late afternoon patrons, the air thick with espresso and tension. The moment Adam leaned in and dropped Kane Ashby's latest manipulations into Nick's lap, the younger Newman could feel a storm brewing behind his eyes. Kane had been casually hobnobbing with Phyllis, and even worse, visiting Billy at the ranch. The betrayal stung, gnawing at the raw nerve of loyalty and family allegiance Nick held sacred. He wanted desperately to believe that Phyllis wouldn't abandon the people she had known and loved for so long, that she wouldn't let ambition or temptation sway her from her long-standing bonds. But Victor's words, when he barged in without warning, struck like a blade. She would sell her firstborn to get what she wanted. Nick bristled at the cruel cynicism, yet he could not entirely dismiss it. Kane, somehow, found this sort of calculated ruthlessness appealing, admiring the fire in someone willing to wield power without conscience. Nick, in contrast, reminded himself that Phyllis would endure any crucible for the sake of her children, and he silently vowed to shield her from Kane's influence, from the murky currents of ambition that threatened to pull everyone into conflict. His thoughts immediately pivoted to Kane's relentless pursuit of Jabot, which included Mochetti, a fact Victor had conveniently twisted to suggest Kyle had manipulated Summer into selling it to the family business. Nick knew better. Victor's history of meddling left no truth unscathed, and he felt a surge of protective rage not just for Phyllis, but for the entire Newman Abbott world teetering precariously on Kane's ambitions. He and Adam, exchanging knowing glances, decided then and there that a solution must be found, that Kane's calculated moves needed to be countered before irreparable damage could be done. Adam's fingers drummed against the table as he outlined his plan, his voice low but insistent. Kane's lies, Adam predicted, would be trending before sundown. The world of Genoa City was small, the whispers of deception spreading like wildfire across social media platforms and business circles alike. Nick felt a dark thrill at the thought exposing Kane. Watching the man's carefully curated facade unravel held a certain allure. But before they could fully indulge in strategy, Victoria appeared, radiant yet tense, her expression betraying the storm within. She demanded a private word with their father, a confrontation that Nick knew would be charged with history, with the weight of past wounds. Reluctantly, Nick and Adam stepped aside, giving her the space she needed. Once alone, Victoria's voice trembled between fury and heartbreak as she accused Victor of trying to manipulate her life and those of Kyle and Claire, of interfering so frequently in their relationships that she barely recognized the man behind the empire. Victor's defense, that he sought only to prevent harm, sounded hollow to Victoria, and she countered with a sharp truth. In attempting to control, he was in fact causing the very pain he claimed to prevent. Her words, piercing and resolute, left Victor visibly shaken. Tears welled in his eyes as he realized the breadth of her disillusionment. In that moment, a father and daughter were laid bare, the legacy of Newman ambition clashing with the yearning for autonomy, and Victoria insisted, fiercely, that they must allow Claire to forge her own path, that Kyle's actions, not Claire's, were breaking hearts. Victor could only hold her close, a silent promise that perhaps he would learn, if only slowly, to loosen the reins. Meanwhile, across town at society, Kane's calculated charm was at full display when he met Jack Abbott. Jack's fury was immediate, boiling over as he noted Kane's casual ordering of dinner, a deliberate move, Jack suspected, intended to assert control. The questions came fast and sharp. Why had Kane brought them to Nice? What were his goals? And had he decided against selling his share in Abbott Communications? Kane sidestepped, speaking vaguely of Abbott Communications, of family loyalty, of smart investments that sounded reasonable on the surface but concealed a subtle threat. Jack, sensing duplicity, was unmoved. He questioned Kane's motives, doubted his sincerity, and made clear that trust was a currency Ashby could not spend lightly here. The tension crackled in the air as Jack demanded Kane leave town, declaring that nobody trusted him enough to do business, nor wanted him embedded in their family affairs. Kane, unfazed, smirked with a quiet arrogance, insisting that Genoa City was not a popularity contest but a battlefield of business acumen. Their argument spiraled into heated discussion over Billy Abbott, Kane's supposed pawn, with Jack probing Kane's true desires, seeking to expose whether this was a power play, a bid to win Lily's affection, or both. Kane, furious at the insinuation, made it clear he owed no explanation, that he knew exactly what he wanted, and that he was not leaving. With a pointed glare and a dismissal of Jack's cautions, he stalked out, leaving behind a palpable sense of rivalry and the echo of unsaid threats. Not far from that confrontation, Sally, poised in a park clearing like a queen of calculated grace, managed her phone call and her thoughts simultaneously. She had caught wind of Kane's manipulations and expressed concerns to Billy, who maintained a calm, measured approach, insisting he had to weigh all options before committing to any action. Sally's worry was sharp, her instinct to protect from past tragedies still intact. 3 people had died recently, their memory casting a shadow over every decision. Her pleas were clear: approaching Kane, cooperating with him, or leveraging him against the Abbotts was a dangerous game. Billy, however, seemed set on pursuing the Chancellor family for control, naively confident that his loyalties and plans were airtight. Sally, realizing the stakes were higher than Billy perceived, prepared herself to intervene at the opportune moment, ready to reveal truths long buried, including the enigma of Aristotle Dumas, whose shadow still loomed over business deals and personal ambitions alike. Billy conceded, reluctantly, that she was right. Action without understanding the full scope would be disastrous, yet the drive to maintain control gnawed at him persistently, a testament to ambition unchecked by caution. Back at Crimson Lights, tension erupted like a powder keg when Billy finally arrived. Nick, still simmering from Adam's briefing and the swirling chaos of thoughts regarding Kane, immediately confronted Billy. The insults exchanged were sharp, each word a loaded weapon, each accusation a spark threatening to ignite violence. Billy, ever cocky, challenged Nick, goading him into the boiling rage he had been suppressing, while Adam tried desperately to rein him in. "That's enough," Nick finally shouted, lunging forward as if to strike the Abbott outright. The thought of someone questioning Nikki's integrity, of someone manipulating her family for personal gain, sent adrenaline coursing through his veins, nearly overriding the carefully maintained restraint. Adam, calm yet firm, restrained Nick, channeling the storm into strategy rather than destruction, reminding him that the battlefield could be fought with exposure and intelligence, not fists. Billy, momentarily unsettled, departed, leaving behind the silent acknowledgement that he remained in Kane's pocket, a dangerous pawn in a game much larger than any one man. The ripples of these confrontations spread rapidly. Victoria, seeking solace and clarity, returned to confront Victor, forcing him to reckon with the consequences of his interference in her life. She laid bare the damage done to Claire and Kyle, the manipulation that threatened to dismantle relationships she valued, and reminded her father that influence was not control. Victor, in the rarest of moments, found himself vulnerable, tearfully embracing Victoria, realizing that love sometimes demanded letting go rather than guiding with an iron hand. Meanwhile, Jack Abbott, ever the vigilant patriarch, assessed Billy's reliability with a scrutinizing eye, uncertain whether his brother could be trusted to protect both the company and the family legacy. Diane's insight reminded him that Kane's ultimate aim, regaining Lily's affection, was a personal obsession disguised as strategic acumen, and that failure in this endeavor would only breed further resentment and chaos. Jack's wariness underscored the precarious balance between ambition and loyalty, a recurring theme in the tangled webs of Genoa City power dynamics. As all these forces collided, Kane himself remained a picture of relentless ambition and strategic charm. Contacting Lily in the park, he apologized for missing their previous encounter, speaking with a mixture of sincerity and subtle calculation. He hinted at conversations yet to be had, issues to be addressed, and plans that would inevitably impact the people around him. Lily, poised yet guarded, understood the stakes, recognizing that every meeting with Kane carried the weight of potential personal and professional upheaval. Across the city, alliances were tested, trust was questioned, and every interaction bore the undertone of manipulation, desire, and the relentless pursuit of power. In the midst of it all, Nick remained the embodiment of fury restrained, torn between the protective instincts toward his family and the strategic necessity of measured response. The temptation to strike Billy had nearly overtaken him, a visceral reaction to perceived betrayal and the echo of past traumas, yet Adam's counsel anchored him, reminding him that the true victory lay in exposure, in leveraging truth rather than force. The shadow of Kane Ashby's maneuvers loomed large over every relationship and business decision, threatening to destabilize alliances and test the mettle of everyone involved. As Victoria challenged her father, Jack strategized against Kane, Sally prepared interventions, and Billy wavered between loyalty and ambition. Genoa City itself seemed to hold its breath, each resident a piece in a high-stakes chess match where hearts, reputations, and fortunes were all equally at risk. The tension, palpable and unyielding, promised that in the days to come, every choice would reverberate across Newman, Abbott, and Ashby lines, setting the stage for confrontations that would define legacies and challenge loyalties in ways none of them could yet fully anticipate. Even as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city, the unresolved questions lingered in every mind. Would Kane and Jack reach any semblance of agreement, or would ambition forever divide them? Could Billy truly be trusted with the levers of power, or would he falter under pressure? Would Nick's temper finally give way? And if so, what destruction might follow? And could Victoria convince Victor that love sometimes required release rather than control? The answers were uncertain, the stakes impossibly high, and the players each determined, each vulnerable, stood ready to clash, to manipulate, and to fight for both their hearts and their empires. In Genoa City, every alliance was fragile, every friendship a potential battlefield, and every ambition a spark that could ignite a conflagration of chaos and desire, leaving no soul untouched by the consequences of ambition, betrayal, or love. As night deepened over Genoa City, the intricate web of alliances, ambitions, and resentments continued to tighten around every Newman, Abbott, and Ashby. Kane, confident in his maneuvering, lingered in the shadows of power, knowing that patience and timing were as lethal as any sword. His mind ran through each conversation, each encounter, Victoria's reprimand of Victor, Jack's barely concealed contempt, Billy's wavering loyalties, and Nick's simmering fury. Every interaction was a calculated move on a board where family, business, and desire collided. He knew that pushing too hard too soon could alienate allies, yet restraint might give his adversaries the upper hand. This delicate balance was a game he both relished and feared losing. Contacting Lily had been more than a courtesy. It was a strategic tether, a lifeline to personal and professional influence. The apology he offered her masked the relentless drive within him, the unspoken certainty that he could bend circumstances to his favor without sacrificing the object of his desire. Yet he also understood that Lily, perceptive and independent, would not be so easily swayed, and every word, every gesture, had to carry weight, charm, and subtle coercion. Meanwhile, Nick's pulse still pounded with residual anger from the confrontation with Billy, the near-violent instinct that had almost propelled him into action serving as a stark reminder of how close he teetered to losing control. Adam's calm, strategic presence grounded him, providing a channel for that energy, Nick knew that action without foresight would lead to disaster, yet the urge to defend his family, his mother, and the integrity of everything they had built in Genoa City was almost unbearable. He replayed Billy's smug defiance, Victor's cryptic interventions, and Kane's audacious ambitions, each compounding the tension that weighed heavily on him. Every Newman and Abbott with stakes in the game seemed to be moving with purpose, yet their objectives often collided, setting up inevitable confrontations that threatened to explode at any moment. The question of loyalty loomed over every decision. Could anyone truly be trusted, or were alliances merely convenient facades in a city where ambition ruled hearts and minds alike? Victoria, still reeling from her confrontation with her father, wrestled with the duality of love and frustration.